Have you ever wondered what it would be like to see a prophecy come true? Not some vague prediction, but a specific, dated warning that literally changed the course of history. Well, today, we're cracking open the book of Jeremiah to break down a single prophecy that did exactly that. This whole thing reads less like a story and more like a courtroom drama from the ancient world. Seriously, we're about to see decades of evidence, a final verdict with no appeal, and ascension so specific you could literally mark it on your calendar. Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 605 BC. The ancient world is on the edge of a massive power shift. The kingdom of Judah, it's on shaky ground. And the Babylonian Empire, well, it's like a rising tide, about to swallow everything. This is the year the warnings finally stop and the consequences begin. And look, this timing is absolutely not a coincidence. By tying this prophecy directly to Nebuchadnezzar's first year as king, the text is basically screaming that the fate of Judah is now completely tangled up with the rise of this new superpower. This moment, right here, is a major turning point. But this wasn't some snap judgment. Not at all. This was the final straw after 23 years of ignored warnings. Think about that. For over 2 decades, the people of Judah were given a choice, and every single day, for 23 years, they chose to look the other way. Just imagine someone warning you for 23 straight years that what you're doing is going to have terrible consequences. Would you listen? The real tragedy here, the way the source frames it, isn't that the people were clueless. It's that they heard the warnings and actively refused to listen. For 23 long years, from one king's reign to the next, the prophet Jeremiah said the exact same thing. I mean, he must have sounded like a broken record, right? But his message was literally a matter of life and death for his entire nation. The source uses this really specific phrase, rising early and speaking. And, that's not just some poetic flourish. It's meant to convey this incredible sense of urgency and persistence. It's like the cry of a watchman on a wall, just screaming day and night about the danger that's coming. And get this, it wasn't even just Jeremiah. The source says God sent all his servants, the prophets. So this wasn't just a case of, selective hearing. This was a deliberate, willful rejection of an overwhelming amount of testimony. They didn't just ignore the prophets, they completely turned their backs. And here's the kicker. After all of that, it all boiled down to a really simple choice. This wasn't some complex theological puzzle. It was a straightforward decision between 2 paths, a choice between life and death. What would you have done? The choice was crystal clear. Turn from your destructive habits and live, or cling to them and face the music. They chose the latter, and, as the text puts it, in doing so they chose their own hurt. They basically sealed their own fate. And then we get the word that changes everything. Therefore. With this one single word, the entire narrative pivots. The time for warnings? Over. The time for judgment has arrived. So the warnings didn't work. The choice was made. But who or what was going to be the instrument to carry out this judgment? Well, the answer is both kind of shocking and, after 23 years, completely inevitable. God calls the pagan king, the foreign invader, Nebuchadnezzar, my servant. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean Nebuchadnezzar is a good guy or a follower of God. In this context, it means he's a tool, an instrument, commissioned for a very specific job in the hands of a sovereign God. And we are not talking about a slap on the wrist here. The prophecy lays out a complete and utter devastation that's going to go way beyond Judah to all its neighbors. It's going to reshape the entire political map of the region, a destruction so total it will leave the world just in shock. So the verdict is in. Now comes the sentence, and it is a sentence of exile, of total loss, and of a profound, deafening silence that's about to fall over the land. This is literally the sound of a nation dying. The prophecy describes the silencing of everything that makes a society feel alive. The laughter, the music from weddings, the simple everyday hum of work, even the light from a candle at night, all of it, just gone. It's a picture of absolute desolation. But even in the middle of all this darkness, there is one crucial detail, a little glimmer of something that isn't just despair. This sentence. It has a time limit. This desolation is not going to last forever. 70 years. It starts in 605 BC and it ends when Babylon itself falls. That is an incredibly specific time frame.
And it reveals a judgment that is, yes, devastatingly powerful, but also precisely measured and finite. This isn't just random destruction, it's discipline with a clearly marked end date.
So, what do we take away from all this? When you see a judgment that comes only after decades of patient warning, and even then has a specific end date, it really makes you stop and think. What does that tell us about its ultimate purpose? It wasn't just about punishment, was it? It seems like it was about something more.